Hello, 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 everyone. This is Ginger Williams here with Queen and Company, getting ready to start our last and final demonstration, or this time it's actually a workshop of National Scrapbook Day. I am here to help walk you through die cut guide number 6 and give you a full introduction to the full and brand new Summer Lovin Kit. It's our newest specialty kit. It is packed with all kinds of amazing things, and I am very excited to introduce it to you. Now, just as a housekeeping matter, you might be here thinking that you are here to take the Summer Lovin Creative Card Kit class. If that is true, then you need to go back to the live demo that I did this morning, and you can watch that class. This is a different product, believe it or not. Even though they have the same name and they look a lot alike, there are some major differences, which I'll talk quickly about. We have, let's see, a couple of things that are different about this. Let's see if I can change this up here. So this is, if you're looking for this demonstration, this class, you can go and watch the replay either on our Facebook page, or if you go to our YouTube, Queen and Company YouTube channel, you can find a slightly more condensed version of that class. So, and what's the difference? Why are we talking about two very similar products? Well, if you do that class from earlier, you make some very specific cards. You make these 6 cards exactly like that. They are already. Here's what the that kit looks like. You get papers that are already pre-punched that have all the shapes you need to assemble those 6 kits. You get a little bit of foam and acetate, some embellishments that help you create those particular 6 cards. Now, that kit is based on what I'm showing you today, which is the full kit, the Summer Lovin Kit. In this kit, you get our usual set of dies, foam, stamps, pattern paper pad, toppings, what I missed, acetate covers. All of that comes in this kit, just like all of our other specialty kits. This Creative Card Kit class is a much more condensed version, much easier to use, much simpler, but still a lot of fun, and you get 6 cards. This kit, you can make a lot more than 6 cards, probably even dozens if you are good at stretching your supplies. So I just want to be clear that those are the 2 different products, and that today, right now, at least at this moment, I am talking about the Summer Lovin Kit, our specialty kit. So if you need to hop on over to a different video and go follow along with your class kit, go ahead and go find that. You can come back and watch this later. All right. So just a few more things about this kit. Like all of our kits, there is an add-on for a set of outline dies. These dies are really great at helping you create your own refills. If you want to cut more acetate covers, this is the die that you would need for that. Also, if you prefer to cut a backer for your shaker, instead of putting the foam directly down onto your card, or instead of fussy cutting a backer, this is the add-on that you need for that. There is also some refills available. These are the toppings that are in the kit, and there are refills available for that. We also have refills of our foam shapes. You get quite a few in each one. There are 5 different shakers in this set, but 2 of them, the bicycle and the flip-flops, are double shakers. So you can see why you need all those extra pieces of foam here. And I need to slow down. I'm just so excited that we're finally here, finally launching this product. I've been working on the various products for today's launch for so long, and I'm so happy that they're finally being released. Okay, instead of just refills, we also have some fun additions. These are the epoxy dots that match the kit, and they are a lot of fun to have on hand, especially since they color coordinate with the paper. And there is also a new title die. This is a fun one because I created it so you could double layer. So if you want your hello or your summer to be different colors from each other, you can cut them from different papers using these title dies. Lots of fun there. Okay, so that is all of the things that are available with the Summer Lovin Kit. I do believe Wendy has created some fantastic bundled options for you. You can look at the website to see more about how she's bundled those up. And then one thing you should know too is that there are some very fun little discounts and free product for this particular event for National Scrapbook Day. And happy Cinco de Mayo too as well, those of you watching today, and lots of fun things happening. But this adorable, super cute little pink refrigerator is a tool caddy, and it is one of the cutest things I've ever seen Wendy come up with as a free with purchase item. The door does open. You can see that there is a little tiny mini stapler and a tiny little set of staples and a little Queen & Company sticky note pad inside. That does come with your refrigerator, but it's a great little caddy that is awesome for keeping your most used set of, maybe small scissors, tweezers. I use my wax tip tool. I use a pen in there. I've got a couple other things that I keep handy. And I'll show you this in a little bit, I can also stick my glue bottles in the top. So if you've been wanting a glue bottle holder, where you can keep your glue bottle in upside down, I'll show you how I use this for that during my demo. One more housekeeping item is that, pardon me, there is a sale going on this weekend for National Scrapbook Day. You can get 20% off of various items in our special National Scrapbook Day sale category. So go ahead and look at the website and get all of the details on how you make that 20% off happen and what products are eligible. The details are on the website, queenandcompany.com. And one more thing. Let's talk about one of the other sets of products launching this weekend. Let me show you both pictures here. These two sets of dies are part of our background, or what we call our foundation dies. These make excellent building blocks for creating the backgrounds for your cards. So, whereas our kits, our big specialty kits, are more for creating your focal points for card making, these are your background, what you're going to add your focal point to. And we have two new sets. This is 26 and 27, and they are just really fantastic because I went back to basics with these. I decided, how would I want to use them if I was a brand new customer or an existing customer, both. I said I would like have fun new shapes that coordinate well with all of our other sets if I'm an existing customer. And if I was a brand new customer, I'd like to be able to have a couple sets that give me a little taste of everything that we keep in our foundation dies. And then also, let's make them work together and coordinate in ways where they can be used with a bunch of sketches to create a whole range of card ideas. So these two sets of dies will work together in the same way that the different dies. I'm showing you different dies today because we can't play with these all together because you guys haven't got your hands on them yet. They'll be shipped next week after everyone orders. But I pulled out some other older sets. We're going to do a foundation die cutting guide. But there's a new one. Number 7 uses just these two sets. And by mixing and matching the various shapes in these two sets, you can create, I want to say 6 beautiful cards easily with just a few pieces of paper. And I'll teach you the concept here in just a minute. But if you're new to Queen & Company and you're wondering, where do I start? I suggest you grab Foundations 26 and 27, as well as any one of your favorite specialty kits. Look over the website, take a look and see what looks fun to you. Grab one of those kits and these 2 foundation die sets and start there. It's a great way to get moving. They come with sketches just for each set. So like you can grab 26 or 27 and just do sketches using just those sets, or you can download and print our foundation die cutting guide number 7, and you can follow the same concept I'm going to teach you today at home using just those 2 sets. It's a great way to get started with Queen & Company. And I do suggest that if you are interested in starting, or maybe you're slightly new and just want to kind of dive in a little deeper, the brand new Summer Lovin Kit we're going to work with today is also designed to be not terribly complicated. Some of our kits are fantastic fun and make the cutest things, but it takes more steps. These are fairly simple dies with not very many steps. Another great way to get started. Or if you're one of our seasoned customers, it's great to have a kit you can go to, grab it, assemble it, and not a lot of steps, bang out a bunch of cards all at once. So really great things in these sets for everybody. And just to give you some ideas, some of the things you can make with this particular kit, this beautiful bicycle card from Greta is adorable. I love how she filled the basket of her bicycle with flowers. Isn't that cute? And let's see, another one by Greta here. She did our barbecue. And I love that she decided to go with like a hot coals theme inside of her shaker in her barbecue pit. Really, really cute. And I love that she added some flowers too. Holy smokes, it's your birthday with a barbecue and a little bit of flowers. Adorable. And then in this kit, of course, there is a picnic basket. And she did a beautiful job creating almost a bit of a scene for it. Looks to me almost like blue sky and grass and a red tablecloth to sit on. That's an adorable card. And then these, I don't know if these are Mary Ann's or Greta's, but I think they're probably Mary Ann's. But how cute is this? I'm sorry, not Greta's. Mary Ann or maybe Linda. I don't know. We have a couple people now helping us make card samples. And either way, a beautiful, gorgeous card. And I love the idea of, going over the rainbow through the clouds. How cute. And then this one mixes and matches those flip-flops in the kit with the beautiful hibiscus shakers from our previous release, the tropical shaped shaker kit. So by mixing and matching these kits, you can have all kinds of summertime fun. And then here's one more card using the bicycle. And look at this, isn't this cute? It's almost like the apple blossoms. You got the tree with all of your apples on it. My husband lived in Washington State for a little while, so I know he would love seeing all of the apple blossoms on the apple tree. Really beautiful card. Okay, so let's get down to business here. We are going to get started with die cutting guide number 6. I love, 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 love die cutting guides. I love to make the process of creating cards as simple, as fast, and as, what's the right word, less wasteful, as productive as possible with as minimal supplies as needed. And so we can really get a lot of cards accomplished. And if you like all of those things, then die cutting guides are for you, especially if you enjoy our foundation dies. So this particular guide is number 6. We do have 5 others that are posted in our Facebook group in the file section. You can scroll through the files and find the other 5. Actually, technically the other 6, because I did post number 7 is there as well. But what you do when you are using a die cutting guide is that you are going to grab a handful of papers, and I walk you through helping you select your papers, and they can be from any one of our kits. You need 6x6 papers. This particular guide only uses 5 of them. And then I'm going to teach you how to lay out your foundation dies on those 5 papers so that then you can cut those papers exactly as I show you, and then you can then take all the pieces we cut out and rearrange and reassemble them to create a whole bunch of cards. These are the sketches that you will use to assemble your pieces with this particular kit. And here is an example of what I'm going to show you in a minute of how to lay out your dies to accomplish these amazing 6 cards. Oh, pardon me, this set is 7 cards. Die cutting guide 7 makes 6 cards. Die cutting 6 makes 7 cards. Makes total sense, right? And the other thing I should tell you too is that if you look at the numbers in front of you here, this particular die guide uses our foundation dies numbers 21, 22, 23, and 24. So there are 4 sets used in this particular die guide, and that's pretty good. I've gotten better at trying to limit how many die sets you need to own in order to make one of the die guides. The first couple that I did, I was just trying to nail down the concept, and I was grabbing whatever dies I needed to make fit from any die set. And that was hard enough. But then I made it even harder by just going, okay, well, let's just pick a few die sets and try to limit to just those and still maximize our paper usage, still create a lot of cards, still make them look beautiful, still mix and match papers in a way that looks presentable and pretty. Whew. It gets complicated sometimes, but I love doing it and I love the results. The results are amazing, and I can't wait to walk through and show you what we can accomplish. So, enough with all of the photos. Let's actually have you go over to my desktop. Bear with me just a minute. It looks like I lost connection with my camera. So give me just one second here. Sometimes that happens. Okay, here we go. And now I can transition you over here. All right. And as you can see in the upper right-hand corner, I did record this ahead of time. Oh, I've had a busy week, and I'm spending a little bit more time with my family, so I'm going to try to pop in and answer questions in the comments. But if you're wondering if I'm live in the usual way, not for this particular one, but I am close by, and I hope I can answer some questions for you there in the comment section. So, just to reiterate what I said a moment ago, these are the cards that you make when you use the Creative Card Kit, the pre-cut, ready-to-assemble kit that looks like this. So that's what you get here. So again, if you're coming in late and you're going, hey, isn't she going to use this? No, you're in a different class. That class was a little earlier today, and you can watch the replay, or you can go to our YouTube channel and watch a previously recorded video I did using this kit. And for those of you that are joining me for today, this is what we're going to do today. I've already done this class, or done this kit once to test it. That's when I learned I had an error still in the in the guide, but that has been fixed. So that's another thing I should mention. If you downloaded the die guide on Thursday or even early Friday morning, there was a small error in the die guide. And so you're going to want to re-download it. I did post the new one. I deleted the old one. So if you find it on there anywhere, it's going to be the updated version. And if you have already cut them out, I know a few of you told me you had already cut them out. Let me show you what you need to do. All you need to do is find this die, number 22. It's this one right here in the polka dotted papers in the guide. You're going to want to recut that one out without anything in the middle. On the previous die guide, I had put some little starbursts in there like this. Let me show you, like this. You don't want to do that because this paper is not, those holes not going to be as covered up as I thought they were going to be, unless, I mean, it kind of depends on what focal point you put on there, but it's not ideal to have those there. So if you have already cut it, please go find another polka dot paper, and I apologize and I'm sorry for the error, but if that happened to you, by all means, recut this and then you'll be ready to roll. That's the only change you need to make. I already error checked it several times. I can't believe I missed that one because I usually am pretty good about catching errors when I error check. Okay, so if you are crafting along with me, I know a few of you are not new to this concept at all. You've done many of them several times, and you love them. So if you're crafting along today, I would love to know what paper pad you are using and maybe what kit you are planning to add shakers from, if you have a plan. Not necessary to have a plan with shakers or focal points, but if you have it, I would love to read in the comments what you're up to, and I can't wait to see what you will post in our Facebook group in order to see what everyone's accomplishing today. I guess before we totally dive into, I should mention there are amazing giveaways in the Facebook group. You really do want to go ahead and pop over there and make sure that you find all of them. There is, I think it's about $200 worth of gift card giveaways in various denominations. One's even $100, one is even $50, then there's some smaller amounts, and all you have to do is leave a comment. And the comments will be sorted through on Tuesday, and we will randomly select winners. So easy peasy. The comments are related to questions that we were curious, so I like to pick your brain once in a while and hear what your interests and thoughts are about the products and about your journey with Queen & Company, whether you're new or have been around a long time. So do go check this out. Matter of fact, let's see. Oh, the card contest. That is the last thing, too. I should have mentioned that earlier. There is a card or paper crafting contest in the Facebook group, too. Please be sure and check that out as well. We love our card contests. We do one monthly as well as a big special one for special events like this. There will be winners randomly chosen as well as those who will be voted on. So lots of chances to win. Oh, I'm going to have to find my water here. Been talking a lot this week. So pardon me for just a minute. I got my cup handy. Okay. Time to get busy. So, in the die cutting guides, you can see that I give you pretty specific instructions on how to select papers that I think will work well for this concept. In this particular guide, I suggest that you start with picking out some multicolored patterns. One with maybe a larger scale, not too large, and one with maybe a real tight or smaller scale. Then I also suggest that you pick 3 tone-on-tone papers. Our paper pads are all designed like this. They're 6 by 6. They have a bunch of multicolored patterns, and they have a bunch of tone-on-tone. So you have plenty of choices. If you look at this one here, I could really plate up the reds and the pinks, or I could go more into some of those blues and grays. But this is what I've selected this time. I'm going to play up the blues and yellows. Plus, if you're worried like, only 5 papers, I kind of want to tie in one more color or an extra accent, I'll show you what I did with my focal points with my shakers. I really leaned heavy on red with those, and that way I could tie in that extra color. So don't feel like you have to only go with those colors. You can use your focal points that will be added later as a chance to be able to add a little more pop of color in there should you desire that. But you will need 3 of those. So I've just illustrated those in our Queen & Company brand colors, but by all means, this is not meant to be taken literally. This is figurative, and you should go through your paper pads and find out what works best for what you want to make. The other thing you're going to need is you're going to need at least 2 pieces of 5.5 by 8-inch cardstock pieces. So take an 8.5 by 11 sheet of white cardstock, cut it in half. You may need to trim it down, especially if you're using something smaller like a Cuttlebug. You may need to trim it down so it'll fit on your plates. I'm using a big shot, so I don't have to make that extra cut, but if you need to, cut your paper down so it'll fit in your machine, basically is what I'm trying to say here. Now, you will also need some card bases. We are making 7 cards, and so I have my 7 card bases here. And then I actually went a step further. I really love texture. And so I cut myself a bunch of card fronts that have all of the wonderful stitching. Those are created using our backdrop plates. Just a great fun way to add some visual interest and some texture. And there is in these cards quite a bit of white, and this kind of helps keep things from kind of blending into each other, helps things stand out. So a little something extra that I did that is not at all required, but it's fun. Oh, pardon me. It's fun to do if you're interested. Okay, so that is page 1 of the die cutting guide. Here's page 2, and I've got a couple things going on here that I want to explain. The first is my little Queen & Company sticky notes. When you're working on a die, you're looking down at your papers here to figure out, okay, I'm going to lay out my dies as Ginger shows me, and I'm looking at a pink paper here, but then I'm trying to remember over here which paper I was using for that color. So I went through and I used my little sticky note to mark and indicate what paper I picked for these. If you're sticking with a polka dot and a floral, that makes it easy. You can see I'm doing that here. I have my polka dot and floral. That's easy for me to remember which one's which. But over here, am I going to remember that my pink paper is supposed to be laid out to be an aqua? Well, knowing me, I'm probably going to forget, and I'm probably going to start cutting on the wrong paper. And that is not a good way to maximize your paper. So don't do that. If it helps you, use a little sticky note and indicate which of the papers you've chosen to represent each one of these. It might be helpful for you to decide by looking at the final sketches. You can be like, that dark color would be fun to be one of our other dark colors. For example, that's the one I'm going to use as a navy blue. Okay. Then, let me pull this up to the camera a little bit. Next thing you need to know, if it'll focus, come on, focus. There we go. Is that we are going to lay out the papers with our dies exactly as shown. So I have lost autofocus. That's going to be annoying. Well, we'll do our best without it, but here are the dies that I have pulled out from foundation sets 21, 22, and this is 23 and 24. I've got them out close by and handy, so it'll be easy for me to create all of the layouts here as we get ready to cut. So give me a minute. I'm going to try to solve our autofocus moment. Well, maybe it's working. Looks like it's focusing better now. Just took a second. I'm also going to clear my desk space so I can have room to do some die cutting. So let's set some things aside here. I'm going to keep this where I can see it easy though. And I'm going to bring my dies a little in close. The other thing you might want to consider having handy during this die cutting process is a shim of some sort. I use a metal shim to help me keep track of adding enough pressure on some of our more intricate dies. Mostly I'm thinking of these type of dies. This is a fun little notebook edged paper, or it creates a paper that looks like notebook edged, and it can sometimes need a little extra pressure to cut through, particularly if you're going to run a full page of these dies all at once. It can be really handy to have that extra bit of pressure, so keep that close by. And then the other thing you might want is some low tack tape. As we run a full page of dies through the machine, they can have a tendency to maybe bounce around on you a little bit, jump around where they're not supposed to be. This can help them hold still. So you'll watch me use it rather extensively when I go through this process. But first, I'm going to get my plates out here. Let me back this up so you can see everything I'm doing. And I'm going to start with our floral paper here, just as it shows. So let me pull that paper out. And this particular paper doesn't have a lot of ups or downs to it, so it doesn't really matter too much the orientation. Maybe I'll rotate it this way just a bit. That might be more of an up or down. Hard to say. Okay, now I'm going to just kind of get them in the general, my dies, laid out like this, like it shows me, in the general idea, but I will straighten them up and get them looking a little nicer as I prepare to actually roll them through the die cut machine. First thing I want to do really is just kind of get the general layout figured out. So I've got a couple of these fun little dies from all the different sets here. That one's from 22, and I love these notebook papers, like I said. This one's from 24, and there's another one I believe from 23. We'll get that to fit in there, and it's going to be a tight fit for a lot of these, but they do fit. I've tested them earlier. They do work out if you're careful, and if you're careful, you'll also really maximize that paper. Okay, oh, and I already am cutting one of these. Let me see if I can lift this up here. Cutting one of these more intricate dies, so I'm going to slip that shim in there. I have a magnetic plate there underneath, and it is a little bit tricky to get that metal shim to cooperate sometimes on that magnetic plate. Maybe I should have switched to my regular plate. So pardon me, I'm going to set that down for a minute. There we go. See how strong that is? Whew, very strong. Okay. There, now it's good and lined up on my magnetic base plate. And we'll try that again here. Okay. So just like I mentioned with the low tack tape, I'm going to use that to kind of hold things steady. And you don't have to do this step. If you prefer, you can just go ahead and cut out a few shapes at a time. You do not have to cut the whole plate out all at once. Matter of fact, if you have something more like a cuttlebug, you may not be able to, because a cuttlebug's plate isn't quite 6 inches. It's just slightly under that, which is annoying, even though I loved my cuttlebug for a long time and still use it. But for this, it's nice to have the full 6 inches available. Okay. Like I said, gonna be tight, but doable. I do need to move this one down all the way to the bottom edge here. There we go. Okay. Now let's get that circle to stay there. You really do want to do something to make sure that your dies are not going to jump around on you. Because if they jump around on you, not only would they perhaps not cut out what you need, but if they jump on top of each other, then sometimes that can bend your die really badly. Now, a slight bend in the die is not a problem, but I have had one jump on top of another one a long time ago. Not even doing a die guide, just something else. And it bent it in a real bad way, and it took quite a while to fix that. Now, I don't know why I have stray bling, but I do. Maybe that happens to the rest of you too sometimes. Okay, so those are all laid out according to my diagram. Now, you can see there's a few places in here where I'm going to be cutting some additional flowers in a minute. But it's the same dies that we're using here, and so I'm not going to be able to do that all in one pass. We'll go back and do those afterwards. Whoops, sorry. The tight squeeze here. There we go. Because of that metal shim, it's a tight squeeze, so I'm going to make sure I stabilize it here with my hand. There we go. All the way through, and I'm actually going to back it up, back it out the way it went in, just to be sure we get them all cut all the way through on that intricate die. I'm sure the others cut just fine, but with that intricate die, it's nice to be sure it did too. Otherwise, you're going to be repositioning it, cutting it yet again to make certain it worked the way it's supposed to. Okay, so here's our first die cuts. They are going to go into a pile over here by paper. We're going to cut a bunch of papers, and I'm going to keep them sorted by paper for now. I find that's easier for me. Perhaps you do it differently. If so, go ahead and make a note of that in the comments. I'd like to know if any of you are successful at sorting them into their sketches right away. Okay. You can see that intricate die did cut very beautifully, as did the rest of these. All right. And then the thing that I'm always forgetting is recutting those middles. So in order to truly maximize our paper, you do, on several of these, have to cut an extra shape out of the middle of some of your papers. So keep an eye on that. It's easy to forget. Look at that. Isn't that great maximization there? Beautiful. Okay. I'm going to need my little pokey tool to get these loose. There we go. And this one. Okay. So now, if you look at the guide, on that intricate piece, we are going to cut a couple of extra flower pieces out, because most of this is going to get covered up. Most of this paper is going to get covered up. It's perfectly fine to cut out some pieces here that only you and me will ever know are missing in that paper. So let's take those and roll through. And that should complete our floral cutouts here. Floral paper cutouts. Okay. So that is our stack there. All right, let me put these back so I can keep track for the next paper. Let's go ahead and do our polka dot paper. Now, confession time. If you've looked at my cards on the website using this kit, and if you've looked closely at the die guide, you'll notice that this card over here that we're about to do some cutting for doesn't look the same. And I'll tell you why in a minute. But basically it's because I failed to keep a good eye on my own way with the dies, way of putting these dies down. I had this one set up all wrong when I used it when I was cutting before. And I also couldn't quite figure out why, when I was cutting it the first time, it didn't seem like all of my dies were lining up the way that they were supposed to. And it was a really tight fit, and it just didn't seem right. And I couldn't figure out why. I realized later on that it's because I was laying this die out wrong, because you want it to actually cut so it'll look like this. And I did it backwards. I had cut it just fine, but I had laid it on my card upside down, and I couldn't figure out, what I had done wrong. So if that happens to you, just know that you're not alone. I did it too. So especially if you find that these two dies aren't fitting like they're going to go through the machine, then you probably have this die upside down like this. And you can see it's not going to fit well. So make sure, this little trapezoid type shape is lined up like this so that these fit comfortably with plenty of room. And then you'll know you're doing it right. So when I finish this card, it'll look right this time instead of being upside down. I'll show you how I glued it down upside down. There it is. See, I glued it down upside down. Don't do that. Do what I say, not what I do. Except for now I'm doing it right. So it should be okay. All right, so let's make sure we get this little die down in this corner. And then we're going to have a couple of these fun banner pieces and some accent dies across the bottom. And we've got one kind of gear shape from set 23 up here in the top. Let me grab that. This one, it looks like. Yep. Okay. And we'll use our tape again. And the nice thing about this low-tack tape is it is really reusable. You really can grab it and use it again and again. Usually I can get 4, 5, 6 times at least out of it. Okay. The one thing that's tricky about something like the polka dots, as opposed to the floral, is that you do kind of have to watch the up and down, the left and right, to make sure your dies are straight when cutting, because this particular polka dot pattern is definitely going to show if you cut it crooked with all those dots in rows. I've got several papers that we do in our foundation dies that are a little more random, and they are a little easier with this die cutting. There we go, that's going to fit nicely. Because you don't have to be quite so careful about how straight it is. But these I'm definitely going to be careful with. Okay. And you know, if they're a little off, well, that's all right. But we really don't want it to be too obviously off. If it's noticeable, that's just kind of embarrassing. It doesn't look as good when you get ready to give the card away. Okay. Looks pretty straight to me. Let's roll our polka dot set through. Okay. Almost there. I just realized I forgot to take that metal shim out. I'm like, why is it fighting me so much? Yep, that metal shim is there, and I probably did not need that metal shim to be in there, since these are not very intricate. But they're going to cut well with it in there. But it would have been easier on my rolling if I had taken it out. Okay. Well, while I disassemble these, I had a couple of questions I thought would be fun to ask all of you watching today to answer. Let's see here. I print them out because I can never remember them on the fly. I'm not good like Tammy. I think even Marianne's better on the fly at remembering the questions that they want to ask you guys. But let's see. What have we got today? All right. When you find time to craft, is it usually something like 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there? Or is it like, okay, I'm holding up in my craft room. I'm going to be here for a couple hours. I'm going to be here all day. So do you craft more in the in-between moments, or are you more of a plan it out, sit down and get to work for as long as you can, maybe on a weekend or whenever works out for you to find some time? So which type of crafter are you? I know when my kids were little, it was definitely an in-between every moment of a nap or or whatever. Nowadays, it's a little easier to carve out a little bit longer block of time. Although now that they're older, they go a lot of places, and I'm the chauffeur a lot, so depends on the day. Perhaps is my answer. But what is your answer? I'd love to hear it. Okay. So this polka dot paper is all cut now, and it's nice because unlike the floral paper, there's nothing extra from inside the little pieces that you need to cut. So if you're finding that you do have something laid out in this piece here, you do not have the updated die guide. Make sure you go grab the updated die guide because you're going to want to avoid cutting out those starburst items that were here on the original one. I messed that up. If it looks like this, do not do that. And if you already cut it out, I told you earlier, but in case you missed it, find another polka dot paper and recut this, and do not cut the middle ones out. That'll be about the only change that you'll really need, because you already will have some extra starbursts. All right, putting our scraps aside, now we can move on to our more tone-on-tone, solidish type papers. You can see over here my little notes I have for this is that we have aqua should be going on next, and that is represented for me. I'm using that to represent the pink papers. Let's get, is there a notebook paper? Yeah, there kind of is some decorative, more intricate die here, so I think I am going to leave. I'm going to pull this up, that way I can keep track of which one I'm working on with this paper. So yes, I am going to leave this metal shim in for a little longer. Let me rotate it though. I want it to be on the side of this kind of file folder shape, because it's going to need that extra pressure. That file folder shape from Foundation 24 is a neat one. Although, from when I cut earlier, I still have a few little pieces in the middle, and it will cut a little neater if I poke those out. There we go. Okay, so we'll get that lined up in the upper left-hand corner. Maybe I'll even tape it down right now since it's right there. Okay, and then from 22, we have this really fun deco edged circle. It's going to go down underneath it. And then we also have a larger one, deco edged circle. Go right there, give or take. We need another one of these fun little sunburst things. And you're going to see, oh, I think, yes, there is two. You can see that there is two here. So this one will be one we'll have to cut a second time, because I'll need to put that die here in the middle of that one eventually. And those are that's a smaller little starburst. There's two that we're using from set 24. Set 24 has several of those. We're using the two smallest ones. Okay. Let's get this lined up so it'll fit. And let's see, two more banner pieces, large sentiment banner type pieces from Foundation 22. All right, did I get them all? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, looking good. Just got to remember to cut that middle one out after we run this through. Now there is a bit of a line to my polka dotted tone-on-tone background. So again, I'm going to be a little more careful in my lining up of these particular dies here. Oh, you can't really see what I'm doing, can you? Let me scoot that back just a little bit. Sorry about that. Didn't realize I was going off camera here. Alrighty, so keeping those straight, we'll put that about like that. That'll help hold them in place. Nice thing about circles is they don't matter as much, straight or not straight. Same thing with this one here in the middle. Just need to make sure we save room for that piece. I forgot to reuse my tape. That's one of my definitely guilty crafter sins. I'll pull out tape, I'll leave it right there so that I will remember to use it when I'm cutting, and then here I am reaching for this. So I have plenty. Let me move that out of the way so I'm not tempted to keep grabbing new pieces just because I'm talking and not staying quite as focused as usual. Okay. That little piece right up here will probably stay, but because I'm on camera, it probably won't. It'll jump around. This piece, I think we're going to trust it to do what it needs to do, though. Okay, everything is looking pretty good. Stick that down as straight as I can keep it. Okay. It's going to fight me a little bit just because I do have that metal shim in place, but that's all right. It doesn't take that much coaxing to get it to go through. There we go. Because I'm crafting on my mat here, this is not my normal die cutting area. It doesn't stay as steady and as stuck down as it should. So if you see it jumping around, just realize that's not normal. That's not how I normally have to run things through here. Okay, looks like it cut well. So again, while I am unloading this, let's see. What other questions can I ask you guys? Okay. All right. If you had to pick between a striped paper or dotted papers to go into a paper pad, what would be your choice? If you had to have one or the other, don't say both. I know you're going to say both. Don't say both. What would be your first choice? Dotted or stripes? Which one do you feel like you have to have? You know those online memes that say one has to go? Well, only one gets to stay. Dotted or stripes? Which would you choose? Thankfully, I designed the papers and I don't have to make that choice. I can put both in if I want because it's my choice. And you notice I pretty much do that. I lost my pokey tool. Here, I've got another one here. I'm sure none of you do that, do you? Do you ever misplace a tool while you're working? If so, what tool do you misplace the most? That's another good question I'd like to know the answer to. I know scissors are common for me, but boy, there are some other ones too. So if you ever misplace a tool that you were just using while working, what tool is that likely to be? Or maybe what was the most recent one? You can see I'm making my little aqua paper pile here. Coming along fast. Because I've used these a few times, they're not quite as sticky, which is nice actually. Makes it easier. Okay, now I'm not going to forget. I'm going to grab this piece right here. Well, let me first clear off all my little extra dots here from my little file folder piece. I love the little, isn't that cute? You get this little accent row of holes here. So cute because it shows the paper underneath and more texture, kind of like I showed you with the backdrop, background dies, the backdrop dies. So let's grab this now. And if you look at our little example here, we have one more of these little sunburst, starburst type pieces that goes right in the middle because we're going to cover it up. And again, no one will know it's there. Let's run that through real fast. There we go. All right. There's a great little pile there. Okay. All done. Let me move my little scrap pieces. I have to clean up as I go. That's another good question. Do you have to clean up as you go? I am usually working on several projects all at once, all over my desk. If you could see it now, you can see it's covered in all kinds of things, including fun new things that we have coming up soon. And if I don't keep it organized, it's easy for me to not only kind of lose things or lose track of things, but to, if I lose something that's a prototype that we were working on and need in order to get ready for a release, that would be really bad. So important for me to stay organized. I do a pretty good job of that most of the time. Okay, let's do this next paper here. I'm going to cover this back up. It helps me to keep the ones I'm not using covered. Otherwise, my eye starts going to the ones, maybe I'll move that up so you can see it better. Starts going to the ones that is maybe closest to me or the one that looks the most like the paper I'm using, and it might be wrong. So I'm going to use my sticky notes to uncover the pieces that I want, and that helps me keep straight what I'm doing here. Okay, so we have a large, extra large banner piece from Foundation 21. And then we have this nice rectangle. We have a nice medium-sized rectangle from 21 as well. And then from 21 again, a nice little kind of wider at the bottom banner piece. And then it looks like one of our wider dies here. I think that's the wider one. That might actually be the medium one. I'll lay it out. If it's not fitting, then we know we have the wrong one. It looks like a pretty tight fit, so I probably have the wrong one, but let me just make sure here. That's how I do it. I know I need to figure out a way to better indicate on the die cutting guide which one is which. Yeah, I guess it is this one. It's a tight fit, but it does fit. But you can put it next to the dies that are indicated in the guide. You can kind of tell based on the length and the ratio to the other dies if you have it right or not. And I can see from looking at this that, yep, that is the right. There's 3 in 22. They're kind of a similar shape. So looking at in comparison to the other dies, I can tell which one it is. And maybe if I get better and better each time I do a die cutting guide or sketches, I'll get better at learning how I want to indicate which one we're using from each set. Maybe an A, B, C, or D or something. I don't know. I'll think of that over. Okay, let's make sure we keep this. Let's see, nice and straight right here. Okay, pretty straight over here. This blue paper also has a bit of a grid to it. So I'm trying, you know what, this is going to be easier. I should have put that in the die guide. This will fit a little easier if you turn it over. If you're having trouble wiggling it into its space, just flip it over. Okay, last little piece here. Then we can run this right through the machine. Okay. And that'll get us our 4th paper. Now keep in mind there is an additional little piece there, and you know what? I can run that all at the same time. That die is not used anywhere else. Let me reposition my tape a little bit. We can do that all at once. Save ourselves a trip. I don't even think I need to tape it. Let's run it through. Lower it just a bit. It's easy to forget those little pieces in the center. Only by having forgotten them several times am I actually remembering them now. The first time I cut out a die guide, oh, I think it took me quite a while to learn some of the tips and techniques that make it a little easier. So if you do your first one and you're kind of thinking to yourself, well, that I forgot a lot of the steps, or I messed up on this or that, it really does get easier once you've done it one time. That first time is just like all things, a learning step, a learning adventure, but usually by the time you get to the point where you're sorting these piles into actual cards you're going to make, and you see the magic, flying die, and you see the magic happen as these pieces all suddenly become cards, you'll probably be hooked. At least I always have been. Let's see here. Come on, tape. Okay. Let's get these last couple of pieces here. Oop, that one wants to run away too. All the dies on our blue papers want to run away. Maybe they're tired and they've had enough for the week. I've used them a lot this week. Getting ready for our National Scrapbook Day events is always a fun adventure. There's a lot to do. We really enjoy having the chance to celebrate with our customers. You guys do a lot for us. We're glad that we can give back and do a lot for you, especially for big events like National Scrapbook Day and World Card Making Day. Those are always fun. Okay, so let's cover up our blue paper here, and I'm going to uncover this one here. This is going to be our final paper, which is yellow. Let's see what we can do here. All right, in this upper corner, we've got that rectangle again from 21. And then we have this nice big long banner piece, really long banner piece, really great to be used across the tall part of a card, or in this case, we're going to rotate our card into landscape mode and let it go across that card. Okay, and up in this upper corner, I love these fun little accent dies. 24 has 3 different little tab type dies that are just so fun. They're a great way to have a little pop of color. And you'll see that with this yellow paper, it has a lot of little dies and stuff on it because it's using this yellow, which is a nice, strong, vibrant color. And let's see, I'm going to want this nice little die. Let me grab a few of them here while we go here. Okay, so next, let's see. Oh, gear. I grabbed the wrong gear. Here we go. Gear. Stay put. And then we've got these fun little banner pieces here. So we're using all 3 of these little banner pieces from 24. Because of that magnetic mat, they really want to wander around on there. We're going to use this piece, this wide bottomed banner piece again from 21. And then a really fun little accent yellow, or it's accent arrow die in yellow. We're going to be scattering yellow all around our pages based on how these little dies turn out. So you can see, like I said earlier, just a ton of little dies. We do have some duplicates in the Starburst or Sunburst, Starburst, whatever you want to call it, set. And so we will come back to that in a minute. So I want to make sure I save some space right in here. Maybe it'll be easier to put this here, and then I'll know if I have it right. This is a bigger area. So let's see here. What else do we need? Yes. One more tiny little tab piece here. This is the smallest of the tabs. It'll go up there. So I guess there's technically 4 tabs in set 24. Okay, do I have them all on there? Other than the duplicate. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, good. And a space saved for running that Starburst die in the next round here. Next time through the machine. And because this striped paper is a bit of a diagonal, it does not matter as much how straight these are. Mostly what matters here is that we get our spacing correct. A lot of my dies here are rounded, or just really because it's a diagonal, it doesn't have to be a perfect 90-degree diagonal per se. So you can be a little more comfortable letting these not be perfect. I really love diagonal stripes. Hope I'm going to have to scooch that down just a little bit because that one otherwise isn't going to fit right. So let me move that over and down a little bit so I can be sure we're going to make it. Okay. Stay, 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 stay. Okay. My tape is getting frustrated with me because it's been used a lot already. Okay, let's grab one of these. There we are. Tight fit, but we're good to go. And then this one in the corner, yeah, I'll tape it down just for good measure. Just to be sure. We have no renegades here. All right. As long as things stay put, I think we're good. I've developed the habit over many years of taking my clear top plate, and when I'm not, right when I take it out of the machine, you'll see me flip it right to the back side of my stack because I'm very good at losing that. It can disappear on my table faster than a pair of scissors can because it's clear. And so I'll put it down and then spend the next 5 to 10 minutes hunting for it, right? Right, nothing too intricate in this, but I'm going to run it through one more time just because there's a lot of dies on there. And sometimes when you have a lot of dies all close to each other like that, they don't always go all the way through. But it looks like they did this time. Looks like nice clean cuts. And with all of these little pieces and all taped together, might take me another minute. So let's see. What's another good question to ask today? Let me go back to my ones I printed out earlier, because I thought of some good ones, but like I said, I never think of it good when I'm on the fly here. Let's see. Okay, have you ever dreamed about crafting? Have you ever woken up and going, oh, I have to remember that because I actually dreamed a good way to do that? I have to admit that I think that's happened to me at least once, particularly when I'm in the middle of a lot of product designing. I will frequently wake up and go, ooh, okay, let's go do that. And then because I work at home, I can run right into my office, get to work on my computer, and design that into a product. So how about you, though? Ever had a dream that had anything to do with crafting, card making, scrapbooking, quilting, crocheting? What are your hobbies, too? That's another good question. What are your hobbies besides making cards? Drop that in the comments. I would love to know what other things that you sometimes do, because certainly card making is your first love, right? Your main hobby, right? Okay. We will get all these little pieces separated, and then we are almost done with our cutting, and then we get to go to the really fun step, which is the sorting these pieces out and seeing how they all come together to make our cards. So, getting close. I can taste it. Almost there. Okay, we'll poke these out, and then I have to remember to recut that one die. But let's get these all into their pile first. Okay. Right here, we're going to use that smallest of our starbursts, and we'll run it right through. You know, those are kind of like flowers, and we're using them a little bit more like flowers on this particular set of cards. But they're not rounded petals like you would find in most of our flower dies. They can be used more like a piece of confetti or, I don't know, little pieces like that. So give you a few more options. Not technically a flower. Okay, so good use of our paper there. Now, the last thing we need to cut are those pieces of white cardstock that look like this down here. If you can see those, I've got these set aside over here. I tried to get them to all fit on one, but it just didn't quite work. So I spread them out amongst two to help minimize some of your double cutting. We still do have to double cut a little bit. 22 needs a little bit, needs to be used 3 times, this particular medium banner in 22. So I am going to get out my shim. You can see my shim is smaller. Oops, this is upside down. No wonder it's not sticking. My shim is smaller than my Big Shot plates. And that's because originally I got it to use with my Cuttlebug. And it is the right size for that. So you can see the plate size difference, which is why on these white pieces here, you can see on page 1, I showed you may need to cut them down. So if you're using a slightly smaller machine, you may need to trim them just a bit so that they'll fit through your machine properly. But thankfully I've got the full 6 inches and a full amount of space here to run this through. I just want to make sure that as I cut that notebook paper, notebook edged paper or piece with this die, that it's on that plate so that it will cut properly all the way through. Okay, we have this like giant ticket piece. Actually, let me turn it. This is supposed to be like this. Sometimes with this one, I'm going to cover that back up. I'm going to rotate it this way so I can keep track a little bit better of how this is going to line up. Since my paper is lined up this way, it'll help me a little bit if I line up my guide the same direction. Okay, this is the medium banner from 22. Scoot that over because we're going to need 2 of them. It'll go up here. Scoot that down just a bit to make sure it's on my shim. Okay. So we're not saving the paper as good with this plain white cardstock, but hopefully that's okay with you because we have lots of that, right? Easy and inexpensive to come by. There we go. It's getting that edge, that notebook edge, real good. There we go. We'll run that through. See how we did, see if that was enough to cut it all the way. Maybe. Let's see. Sometimes that die does just need an extra run through, and I only did 1 this time. Let's see, but our other piece is cut nicely. Did it come all the way through? Oh, you know what? It did. Well, does it need coaxing? In like one little spot? No? Just kind of not wanting to come free. Maybe in one little spot here. So rather than cutting it all the way through, I'm going to just use my scissors to free it. It's just the smallest of tabs right here. Well, maybe I don't even need scissors. Let's see. There we go. That one spot that just didn't want to come. But it's okay. I ripped it only on the back side. The front side looks fine. There we go. So we'll add it to its little, I have a little white pile off camera here. You can't really see. Let me move it so I can see what I'm doing here. Okay, let's cut out that die one more time here. Here it is. I didn't forget. I'm proud of myself for not forgetting. Most of these little banner pieces are going to be for our sentiments that we can stamp here. Okay, good. So that piece is finished. Of course, there's still a little bit of extra pieces here. You could potentially use it for something else later. Okay, now, final piece of paper here. We are going to need this fun little decorative square with these fun decorative edges from 23. And then we're going to need all 3 banner pieces from 22. Small, medium, and large. And the good news is you only have to cut them once, though. So let's go ahead and roll those through. And yay, all of our die cutting is done. Always good to have that finished. It's the most labor-intensive part of using a die guide, but oh, it's so worth it. You'll see that in the next step here in a minute. If you are not new to die cutting guides, if this is not your first rodeo, which die guides have you used before? And do you have a favorite? I would love to know that as I look at developing the next one, which will probably be for World Card Making Day, probably in October. I'd love to know what you like, what you don't like, what you find fun, what you find difficult, and if there's anything that you'd like to see, maybe a certain foundation set you'd like to have in a die guide, let me know in the comments. Okay, so page 2 is complete. Now we get the fun of using page 3 to assemble everything into its own little set of cards. Now this is the part where I really think it's important to try and stay organized. Is it focusing? Okay, it is focusing. I just get worried that I'm going to have a whole video out of focus, and we don't want that. So I use my little dishes here to keep everything organized by card so that when I'm ready to assemble them, I have all the pieces and I didn't lose anything. The first thing I'm going to add in is a card base. And then looking at my different cards, I'm going to try to decide which of my pre-cut background dies I'm going to add on that particular card. What do I think will look the best? I think I'm just going to grab one of these diamond type ones here and add that for this particular sketch here. And then let's go ahead and start pulling the pieces that we cut. So let me pull that up to the screen so you can see it a little better. So the first piece we're going to need here is that background piece. And if we remember from my friendly little post-it notes here, sometimes that's easy to mistake when you're even at this step. That green is going to be represented by my yellow pieces. So I'm going to grab that yellow background piece here and stick it in. And we'll also need this floral scalloped piece here at the bottom. Okay, then on top of that, we've also got a polka dot little accent piece. We have a sentiment strip. It is one of these medium ones. Although I have to confess that I did go through and already stamp these ahead of time so that we could go a little faster. I have one I'm going to stamp because it's right on the larger background piece, but I've already stamped that one ahead of time because I wanted this to be a little bit faster to get to assembly here and get these completed. And then you're going to have one of these larger sunbursts in the floral paper. And then if you remember, our magenta papers are represented in the navy blue paper, and I've got a little starburst in that too. Okay, so I think that's all of those. Let's go ahead and set that aside. And we can get on to the next card. Okay, again, a card base. And let's see, for sketch number 2, I am going to be doing that barbecue in this for a shaker. And so I've got this swirly backdrop piece. Can you see that on the camera? That is going to be fun to be able to use kind of like almost like smoke with my barbecue there. So those are my two background pieces. And then we've got in the navy blue, this larger banner piece. And then in the aqua, we've got, I possibly cut, nope, there it is. Thought I cut the wrong one, but I did not. Right there. Okay. And then we have one of those notebook papers like this. We have an accent in aqua, or turquoise maybe, up at the top. And then we have our little gears, right? And we also have to remember when we assemble this card, we are going to stamp the sentiment right down on the bottom. This is the one I haven't stamped yet. It's a little dirty. So we're going to remember to do that when we get to that step. But then our gears, we have a large yellow gear. That's this one here. And a small yellow gear. That is this one. Followed by a polka dotted gear, which, here we go, right there. Now, if you find yourself going, I can't find a piece, you might make sure that all your pieces are right side up. Because these are double-sided papers, you may find that one of the papers that you're using on the flip side is the same as one of the ones you're using on the other side. So check your papers, make sure that they're right side up. So if something goes missing, that might be the reason why. All right, that completes this particular card set. Actually, you know what? We should be putting shakers in with these so I can keep track of what I'm doing with each one of these. So this is my barbecue piece. So I have pre-assembled my shakers as well. So let's put that in there. And then for that first card, I had one of our title pieces. Remember I showed you those title dies earlier? Boy, are they a fun and easy way to create a great focal point super fast. And so I have actually 2 of these we're going to be using on a summer card. So I put that in the first bin. Just trust me on that. You can't see it, but I did. All right, sketch number 3. Let's move that right along here. We have our card base. And then for this card, this one here, I'm doing our picnic basket. So I thought this kind of grid looks a little bit like the picnic basket weave. So let's put that in there. And then we have this large in navy banner piece. And then we have back here 2, like the large aqua like this, as well as the little polka dotted banner piece that will go on top of it right here. And we also have our decorative edge circle. Remember how I said that it doesn't matter, it has a hole in it because we're going to cover it up with one of the circles from our floral paper. And then in the yellow, we have a large and a small of our starburst pieces. And then up in this upper right-hand corner, another one of the little decorative tab pieces. Okay, and then this one, like I said, is going to have the picnic basket. Oops, my little title got attached. Not yet, not your card. And then also, in looking at this design and having already cut the white background with this decorative stitching, I decided that's not how I want to do my sentiment. So I actually cheated. Don't tell the other foundation dies, but I went to one of our new foundation dies. I think this is 27, and I cut out a different banner piece that I'm going to add up here for my sentiment. So yes, you can go off script. I won't get mad if you decide to customize and make these die guides how you need them to be for your projects. So go ahead and feel free to customize as needed, just like I just did. Okay, that completes everything for that card. And next, these little dishes I'm using are just like a personal casserole dish. Came from Amazon, I think. I don't cook with them. I craft with my dishes. Okay, sketch number 4. So let's go ahead and grab a card base. And let's see, what would be fun with this card? This is just another one of my Hello Summer title cards. Maybe we'll do this one for that one. And we need this large, what is it? It's not a rectangle, it's not a square. Trapezoid, I don't know. We need that piece, and we want to make sure that we put it on right. Like I said before, I had it upside down. So if you're finding that it's pointing so that your title would be going up and to the left, you have it upside down. You want to make sure that it is going like this so that your title will be going down to the left. Okay, we have this fun little decorative piece here. Should be in, there it is, in the aqua, decorative edged circle. A little yellow arrow piece that we cut earlier. Another little starburst in the floral paper here. And then a tab in yellow up here. And then again, I've already cut out my sentiment. This particular card, let's see if I can remind myself what I wrote down. Oh, this one's going to say, "Oh, happy day." So there is what I've already stamped for that one there. And then it uses, again, those fun accent title dies there for their focal point. That's the word I'm looking for, focal point. Okay, moving on. We're already to number 5. Number 5, card base. Decorative panel piece. Let's see, which one should we use this time? This is for our flip-flop card. So maybe that one. Kind of like ocean waves, right? Okay, next. Remember the floral piece that we cut holes in? Not going to show very much, so it doesn't matter that the holes are there. But we are going to cover up some of those holes with our little file folder shape. And then we have these 2 banner pieces up in the corner here. Now this right here, oh, did I not put it on there? It should say trim. I thought I put it on there. Maybe I messed it up when I was making changes. When I fixed the error, I might have left that off. But we are going to put, they are the same size. So if you hold up the, these 2 pieces, you're going to layer them like this. And then you are going to trim off that little extra piece at the top of the yellow. All right, and then one of our medium sentiment strips, but we're going to use one I already stamped. You are flippin' awesome. And then we have just our little starburst left. We have one larger in floral and one smaller in the yellow. Did I get everything? looks like it other than our flip-flops, which are here. Okay. Up next. Okay. Card base. And we are doing now this sketch right here, which I have designated as my hot air balloon. And so I am going to go and let's go with maybe some, should we do stripes or should we do our diamonds? Let's do diamonds this time. And we need that larger rectangle piece right here, followed by a striped rounded rectangle. And we have this great little fun accent piece in, let's see, yellow that will hang off the side of those. And hiding right underneath our sentiment piece, we have this little pink, but for me that's aqua, little banner, which we'll cover up with a sentiment, which for me is going to say, just a note to lift you up, from the stamp set. I love the stamp set in this kit. A lot of versatility in the type of cards you can send with this particular kit. Okay, and we still need a little starburst in floral and in aqua. Okay, now just need our hot air balloon, and that one is also complete. Down to our final one. I'm out of my rectangle casserole dishes, so now I have my oval one. Card base day. And our final piece right here. This card is going to be actually a horizontal, a landscape type card down here. You can see that one. So I've got my decorative panel piece to attach it all to. And then we are going to need this fun like ticket type shape right here, followed by our polka dotted rectangle. Oh, and also don't forget this goes behind it, poking out from the sides. And then we have in the top here, these three little accent tabs are going to layer together in a really cute way to give it a fun little pop of colors all up in that upper left corner. And then we have this tiny little tab that will stick out of the top there to help spread our yellow colors around. And then we have one little flower or starburst, and then our sentiment. Life is a beautiful ride with you as a friend. So I'm sure you can guess that goes with our bicycle. All right. Whew. That was a lot, but we did it. Let's go ahead and start our organizing and gluing. So, first card is going to be Hello Summer. Let's get it assembled. Give that a good crease. Now you can see I am using my free with purchase refrigerator. You have to spend over $125 and you have to go like discounts don't count towards that, shipping, taxes, all that stuff does not count towards that. And if you use rewards, I'm not sure. You have to look at the info on the website, it tells you. But look how fun is this. I have added a little silicone pad in here. I don't know if you can see it well. If I take this off, this pops off. But I have a little silicone pad in there that helps me keep my glue bottle stopped up when it's upside down. And these silicone pads, I think they build them as what? As false eyelash holders, maybe? Can't remember. I was just Googling silicone pads and I found these. And I don't use them for eyelashes, but they sure make great glue bottle stoppers if you're holding your glue bottles upside down. So I cut one down to size and I've added it to my Queen & Company refrigerator, and it is now officially a tool and glue bottle caddy. I know that Tammy showed having some food in hers, and you could do that. You could certainly put this nice little bin down underneath. Right now has my stapler, but that'd be a great place to throw some M&Ms or something fun like that. But then again, I might make a mess if I had chocolate in there. Might be good to keep something in there that is a little cleaner. Another good question to ask while I'm assembling this. Do you have food in your crafting area or not? I usually do not, except for my drink. Usually I've got something nearby to help me stay hydrated. Okay. But how about you? Do you have food ever in your crafting area? Is it allowed? And if so, what is your favorite crafting snack? Put that in the comments too. I'd love to hear what your favorite snacking craft or craft snacking craft. Whew, I've been talking a long time. What is your favorite crafting snack or drink if you have a favorite drink? Mine is usually water. Okay, I think I'm going to move that up just a touch. You can see I'm assembling here according to the sketches so that I can get all of my papers in the right spot. I know I've got it by the right card now, but nice to get them in the right spot as well. Okay. Now next, oh, you know what? I missed, you probably already caught it earlier and I didn't even listen to you, but I forgot to add this into the right bin. So because I already stamped all of my little sentiment strips, I put some of the white aside and I realized just now I missed this one. So if you were yelling it to me earlier in the comments and I didn't catch it, sorry. But thank you for trying to. You know what? I'm going to rotate this like this. And about there, I think. Okay. Now, our sentiment. I'm going to put it right like this. It's not going to be centered. It's going to be off-centered. That way I've got room for my flower. We'll put it almost all the way to the edge on the right. Okay. And next, let's get that title on there. This card would be really great if you don't put very many like embellishments, at least not bulky embellishments on there to mail, because it won't be super dimensional. Another nice thing about these titles is that they don't have to have a lot of dimension to them, making it far easier to keep them mailable. Doesn't mean you can't mail some of these shaker cards, but depending on how kind your post office is, may depend on how much postage they end up charging you. And unfortunately, it's not very consistent post office to post office. Some are nicer about it than others. But I know some of you get away with just a first-class stamp and it goes through and you have no problems. And if so, consider yourself lucky and blessed. So mine often do, but I've gone to the point now where I put mine in a padded envelope and I use a service called Pirate Ship, which is a free service, but you have to sign up to help calculate postage, and they help you figure out the least expensive ways to ship various things. So usually it only costs me $3.50 or so to mail a bubble envelope, which is nice, especially if you want to put a gift card or something else in there with it. I've got son away at college right now, so mailing packages and occasionally something fun like a card is a thing for me, because he is not close, he is far away. Okay, I'm going to breeze this up just a bit, but I want to rotate it to make sure I can see my sentiment. Well, if I want to see the sentiment, it's going to have to go down a little bit, so there it goes. All right, card number 1, all assembled. Okay, card number 2 is going to be, whoops, our barbecue. And we'll get that fun smoke swirly background glued down. That looks just right. Now we are going to layer our little banners back here just for that extra pop of color. This is going to go on top of each other just a little bit here, because one is bigger than the other. Makes it easy just to glue them together first and then glue them onto the card. So yeah, about like that. It's going to make a nice little home for our notebook paper to go onto, kind of help round that a little bit. And let's see, probably about here. Yep, looking good. Okay, now I haven't yet stamped my sentiment on this one. I was going to do that one on camera so you can see how I do it. I know many of you are familiar with the way I do my stamping, but I use a We Are Memory Keepers little stamp platform, and it works very well, especially for sentiments. It's just the right size for sentiments. So the sentiment I'm going to put on this one is going to be, remind me what it says there, "Well done, Dad." And let me find my stamp set here. I have some navy blue ink to kind of tie in that color. Let's go ahead and get that down at that bottom right corner. You can see my stamps are kind of inky from being used earlier. Out there, looks good. I also use this little tool here. It's just a little flat tool, really flat. And I use it sometimes to help hold down my paper while I'm lifting up my stamp, because sometimes it helps to be a little more secure. My magnets hold my papers pretty well most of the time, but it never hurts to be extra secure. All right. Am I doing that off camera? No, you can kind of see it. Inking that up. We'll get ready to stamp here. Well done, Dad. All right. And my Father's Day card is done. Well, I haven't glued it together yet, but nice to have some cards ready ahead of time, right? Okay. I know a lot of you are excited about the barbecue in this particular set. It's nice to have some shapes that work out well for some of the guys in our life, or girls. I grew up learning to grill from my mom. But I know a lot of our guys like to grill. One of my sons really does. Okay. Well done, Dad. All right. So I stamped that in a bit of a hurry, but it looks like it turned out pretty good overall. Dirty fingers are already making a mess out of my white paper here. Don't usually sit and make 6 cards super fast. And I usually do ink up and mess up my fingers, so that looks about right. I do want that little tiny bit of that banner to show on both sides, so let's go with about right there. Hopefully that's dry. It is. Okay, good. And then I didn't put any glue on this little edge, which is kind of fun to kind of let it look loose like that, almost like you did actually tear notebook paper to make that little piece there. Okay. All right. The next thing I'm actually going to add is that little accent up there. Let me move this over so you can see better. Up in that corner. Let's add it up there. About like so. Keep it straight. Okay, and then we've got just a couple of these little gears here that we're just going to glue on down just to help spread some color around the card. We've got one down here, one up here, one up here, but I think before I glue them, I'm going to add my barbecue, which I did all in red to tie in that red color. And of course, because so many of the cute little simple barbecues look just like that with the red color, I did use a piece of that foam from the inside of the barbecue as a way to prop up the lid to the barbecue, so it would be the same height. Okay, so I like it about there. There we go. That's why I didn't glue these gears down first. I wanted to make sure I had all the room I needed. Oh, and I didn't quite poke out all the pieces of this. Let me grab my poking tool here. There we go. And, oh, and a little bit of glue seeped out. Okay, looking good. So this goes down here in that corner. Maybe something kind of like that, maybe. And then these 2 gears in the upper right corner. And that will be card number 2. So you can see how much time a die cutting guide saves you. And it's just to me, so important that this is a tool that you can use with so many of our products. You know, really, you can grab almost any of our kits are going to have shapes in kind of similar sizes, as well as a paper pad. Isn't that great? Love it. That has all of those papers that you would need, probably multiple papers that you would need, that would allow you to be able to cut out papers that would coordinate well and look great on a card front together like that. Help you really power through and get them done. So I do love the versatility, and I can't wait to see what everyone else posts. If you do work on one of these, please do post whatever it is that you come up with at the end. It's really amazing to see how the same die guide will have all of these different variations, and you can almost not even tell that they use the same die guide unless you really look and you're like, oh my goodness, it's incredible what a change in the focal point and a change in the papers does to make it seem like, wow, I had no idea that that was the same basic foundations from that die guide. All right, so this is my basket card. Let me move this empty one out of the way. Move this closer so I can keep track of my pieces okay. And then right down the middle this will go. I actually think that might be one of my favorite things about our big special weekends. National Scrapbook Day, World Card Making Day, and any other time that we post a die guide. Look at that glue on my hands. You ever glue your own hands? I'm making a mess of it now. But usually I do pretty good about keeping it off my cards. But yeah, my favorite thing about those weekends is that I get to see all of those variations of our die cutting guide show up in our Facebook group. You amazing customers really outdo yourselves every year. Some of you go through and cut it 4 or 5 times, I think we saw last year. It was amazing. The creativity and the talent among our customers is mind-blowing. Just have to say that. Super impressed with all the creations in the Facebook group. I wish I had more time to be in there and see all of it all the time, but I try to be in there as much as I can. There's nothing more fun than seeing something that I created then get used by somebody else with just a different vision, different interests, different talents, and to see what they come up with and the way that they view the shapes or the pattern papers or the whatever it is I've created, and to see their completely different take on it. I love that so much. All of you are super impressive. Okay, so let's cover up that little hole in our paper. Be another one of those only you and I know moments here. And our floral paper in the middle. Okay, before I add these here, let me let's first get my little accent in the corner. That one's easy. I don't need to have my placement figured out perfect for the basket to fit for that. But then I do want to pull my basket in. Isn't that cute? I love this card so much. I love how cute the basket is. It's a little more work than the other shapes in this kit, but oh, how fun is that to have like your little jars, your little apples, and when we go on picnics, we often take sub sandwiches. To me, that little French bread represents that real well for a picnic. But let's get that about here. That's kind of where I want that to go. I want to make sure I have room at the top too. I'm putting that sentiment right up there, different than the sketch. So let's go ahead and stick that down. Okay. And then I've got more of that leftover foam from the middle of my picnic basket that I cut down for size to help support all the little elements at the top of my picnic basket. Don't want them to get crushed. And by having that foam underneath, it helps support them real well. Nicely done. There we go. That is so cute. This is the one shaker that I kept the pink in. Most of them I pulled the little pink toppings out. I used the topping mix that's part of this particular release that matches the Summer Lovin Kit, and it has pink in there, but you don't always want pink. Like my little barbecue, I don't want pink per se. I'm going to pop up this sentiment. Oh, sorry, I need some more of my water. Okay. We had a banquet. Sorry. We had a banquet for my son's Special Olympic team last night, and I did a lot of talking. And I've been recording videos during the week. Talk for an hour or two doing that. The class, the Summer Lovin class. Whew. My voice is not quite what it normally is. But it's been a fun week. Okay. Sending you a basket full of thanks. Oops, not quite straight. Let's try that again. Come on, boys, hang in there a little longer. All right, so now we have our little flowers, or not flowers, they're sunbursts. Oh, and I forgot, this one's going to kind of stick underneath here, but thankfully I didn't put too much glue there, so I can still slide it underneath. Another one of those do as I say, not what I do moments. Try to remember to stick that in there before you get glue in all the wrong places and can't get it in there, because otherwise it won't fit too well. But this one is actually going to get popped up with an extra piece of foam. Got some extra pieces handy close by. I always keep some handy close by so I can get things up to the same height and dimension as our shakers here. So let's get that one on there. There we are, about like that. Okay. Card number 3. Now, I am going to bling these out, just not at this particular moment. So if they feel unfinished to you, don't worry, you're right, they are unfinished, but we'll get there. Okay, card number 4. This one is going to be another one of those large title cards. So it will come together nice and fast too. All right, we'll go fast here. Adding that panel piece on the front, and then correctly gluing our trapezoid. Am I getting that right? Is it a trapezoid? I hope so. I've been helping my daughter with math. By homeschooler, you think I should know the difference. Okay. Let's see. Yep. And I want to show you again, what if it looks like this, you've got it wrong. Well, I mean, not wrong. You could do it that way on purpose if you want. But if you do it like this, it'll match the die cutting guide. And your pieces will probably fit a little bit better. And if you glue it on upside down, then you'll be in good company. I created a card and just went with it, which you can see on the website. Even though it was confusing to me while I was putting it together and realizing how could I have gotten it wrong when it looks right? I don't know. Okay, let's scoot that over just a bit. I want that to fit. Probably should have stamped it over just a touch, but it's okay. We'll make it work. Oh, happy day. About there. Okay. And now our aqua piece, aqua decorative edge circle here. Kind of looks like an award banner, like one of those awards with ribbons hanging down from it that you often see, kind of that shape. Okay, about there. I'll move that up just a bit more. Okay, about like that. And then we have our fun little decorative arrow piece to tie in some of that yellow color, that little pop of yellow. About here. Give or take, maybe up a touch. That's why I like liquid glue. Repositionable for a couple of minutes. And our last little flower. Well, for this card. We still have a few more of these sunburst type of flowery things. On this card, it's a flower. On other cards, it's a starburst. Or maybe a sunburst. I've been saying sunburst probably because I got to actually go see the eclipse a couple of weeks ago, which was amazing. And it was fun. My brother took some amazing photos. He's an astrophotographer as one of his hobbies. And he's been stacking some of the images he took during totality. And the sunburst All the rays of sunlight coming out are gorgeous. So that's been on my brain. You can make yours whatever you want them to be. Flowers, confetti accents. We use a very similar shape as the top of a party hat in the surprise party kit. So they can be anything. Okay, let's get that title on there. We will attempt to match the slant here of our papers. About like that. Hello, Summer. If you happen to know anyone named Summer, then you really have to get that title. Add on to the kit. There we go. All right, that's 4. Okay, next. That is going to be our flip-flop card. All right. Oops, sorry, bumped the camera. And our beachy, watery background paper, right? With all of our swirls on it. Let's get that down. And then the floral paper we cut into, that will be our secret. No one will be able to tell. Let's add that right into the middle of our paper here. Slightly more. Well, that's pretty much in the middle. Maybe slightly more to the left than to the right, but not much. Right about there. Okay. All my extra pieces are sticking to me. Have you ever walked out in public and had little pieces of things stuck to you from your crafting? Definitely guilty here. Definitely guilty here. All right. File folder paper. Truly one of my favorite shapes. This is really a cute one. From 24, I think. If you don't have this one, you do need it. It's that cute. Over just a little bit. Creating a nice little home for our flip-flops. We also want to see some of that floral paper underneath. And then I'm going to kind of pop our edges up here just a little bit so you can see that torn notebook look. Okay, and then up in this corner here, we're going to glue down these banners. Create a little home for our little sunburst. Remember how I mentioned earlier that we were going to trim this yellow banner. Definitely take that, glue it down, but then glue it down so that it's not completely equal height to the, well, for me, navy blue, but for you, whatever color you cut that one out of. So we'll leave it about like that. Turn it just a little bit like that. Okay, find my scissors. And here we go. Can cut that right off. Add it to our scrap pile. And there you go. It'll still look cute even if you forget that step. But good for me to at least point it out, so hopefully you remember. Okay, and then we have our sentiment down here. And I made sure and stamped mine more to the right than to the left, so I would have room to put, let's see, a little flower. I think I'm going to move that to a different. No, I'm trying to remember how I had it in mind. Maybe I was going to cut it off. I had a plan. I had a good plan. Can't remember what it is. Maybe it was bling I was going to put there. I can't remember. Might have been bling. I'm going to put it about here like this. And then I can get my flip-flops on here. Like so. And then we still have our extra little pieces here. And then this little accent piece can go over here. About like that. Okay, let's get them glued down. I love how fast these come together. When I'm working on just samples for a new kit release and making cards for that, it'll usually take me a week or so to create 5, 6, 7 cards. Obviously, I'm not working straight that whole time, but if I'm lucky, I can get 2, 3 cards done in a day, maybe. This is my second time today making this die cutting guide of 7 cards. So this is going to be 14 cards in one day for me. Now, I've also been making cards with the Creative Card Kit, and so I have made a ton of cards this week. It's been very, very busy. Okay. There we go, card number 5. All right, let me move my dishes out of the way. And for cards 6 and 7, let me just start getting them laid out. This video has gone on quite a long time, and I think you've got the general idea of what to do next. So let me just show you how these would turn out without taking the time to glue them, because it's probably time for me to turn this off and go be with my family. This is recorded, but I'm trying to hang out in the comments. But let me show you how these will come together. Our little hot air balloon card is cute, and I variated from the sketch just a little bit with this one because I wanted that hot air balloon to fit on there on the left side like this. And then, oh, I forgot this. Don't forget your little accent banner piece will go underneath here like so. There's that. And then this cute little tab is also going to be behind here like this, overlapping that navy paper for me. And we have our little floral starburst, sunburst down there like that. So that will be that card. Just a note to lift you up. I'll move it over just a touch like that. Card 6, and then our final card, card 7. Now, if you've been hanging out with me this long, don't leave quite yet, because part of the reason I'm rushing this part is I do have a sneak peek to show you at the end. So if you're still here hanging out with me, there is a reward. All right, so for my bicycle card, let me show you how this one will turn out. So we get it all laid out here. I love this sentiment. So good for a friend, maybe even a friend that you just want to give a little cheer to. Both of these cards would be good for that. Somebody you want to give a lift to. Life is a beautiful ride with you for a friend. Got those fun 3 little rounded tabs that will go up here in this upper left corner. About like that. This one will stick out just a little bit from the top. Like so. Now we need our bicycle. There is our bicycle. Love this. Oh, and you know, I did something different with this one. Now, because I was creating a head and I wanted these shakers complete, I used acetate on both sides of my bicycle shakers. So they're clear, right? So it really looks like it's just spokes and there's nothing else there. Now, of course, you don't have to do that though. If you're creating this card base first, you can just take your bicycle and stick it right down on your background, and that way you don't need to worry about the extra layer of acetate. But if you're making it a head, and especially if you have the outline dies where you can cut your own extra acetate, that's a really fun way to make your bicycle look even more realistic. All right, so there are those cards. That's how the 7 cards would look all completed. So let me set these aside because I will come back to gluing them at some future date, not today. But let me show you what they would all look like once you get a chance to go through and add some bling. Because you got to have bling, right? And especially I love making these into more like flowers on some of these cards with some bling in the middle. So once you complete them with a little bit of accents, you can see how much that adds to the overall effect, how beautiful they all are. And I have a feeling no matter what papers you use and what your focal point ends up being on all of your cards, you are going to have so much fun getting these completed. And like I told you earlier, I'm super excited to see how they all turn out. Love the Facebook group after events like this. So much creativity in the card contest and in watching people do the die cutting guides. So those will be the 7 cards once you get them all done. And you could see, look at, see my mistake earlier? I didn't quite get that right, but it still looks cute, but I like this way better. Thank you for joining me. Let's go ahead and pull up my last little, let's see if I can find it, last little treat for you. Oh, I have to get it off the printer. 1 second, hold. I promise it'll be worth it. We have an upcoming kit that will be released very soon. And I don't want to show you the whole kit, but I do have a little sneak peek. Here it comes. Of some of the shakers in it. So let me just fold this over because you can't see the whole thing. But look at this. Isn't that fun? This is going to be, oh, what did we call this? Feathered Friends, I think. And it has a great paper pad in these particular colors. And you can see that little peek. And we can't wait to show you more. It's going to be a lot of fun. And there is some little hints on the website as well. But thank you so much for joining me. It's been really, really awesome to have you here all weekend. I hope that you're going to get a chance to crop and craft more during the weekend, and that we'll get to see all of your creations posted in the Facebook group. Make sure and look for those giveaways. Make sure and check out all of the new products. And to catch any of the lives on replay, they're all available on our Facebook page, Queen & Company Facebook page, our public page. If you go to that, you can click on videos. You can scroll through and see any of our past lives from this weekend or otherwise. Be sure and check out our free with purchase item, the 20% off sale. And thank you again for joining us. We love our customers so much, and we appreciate you more than you realize. Have a great National Scrapbook Day weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.